This morning we're going to be taking a look at Sage's newest release, Sage 100 2017, as well as looking at the Sage 100C release, which Sage has recently begun using. It's a subscription-based product that has some different bells and whistles than their standard Sage. So welcome. Today our presenter is Ms. Erin Oldaker. She's going to be walking us through this. A little bit of housekeeping. You are on mute through the presentation. I will be opening up the phone lines at the end of the presentation for any questions. Also, you can use the chat window to throw out any questions as you think of them, and we will address those at the end. But thank you for joining us, and with that, I'm going to turn everything over to Erin. Erin, thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. So welcome to What's New in Sage 2017. There we go. In Sage 2017, you're going to find some enhanced user experience with features such as enhanced autocomplete, prior and next buttons when accessing calendar windows, resizable memo maintenance windows, the ability to suppress remove forms messaging, and the ability to abort forms while they are printing, as well as having some larger fonts on certain reports, and I'll go into more detail. So the search functionality has been expanded in role maintenance and in lookup windows. You can now maintain a list of commodity codes and associate them with miscellaneous items and inventory items, and commodity codes are included with processing level 3 credit card transactions. And finally, you can now accept ACH payments from your customers in accounts receivable and sales order transactions. You will need to install the Sage Exchange desktop on each of the workstations that will be processing the ACH payment. So to begin, there's a new launcher interface which was introduced in 2016, and it's now available for all users. So if you have 100C and if you have regular Sage 100, it will work for both for 2017. Some features will be dependent on which version of Sage 2017 you're using. If you look at this grid, some of them are included with Sage 100C, and some are just included with Sage 100. So now we're going to talk about commodity codes. So if you have the need to enter commodity codes for your level 3 credit card compliance submissions, you can do that very easily by setting up your commodity codes. So you can do that in common information in the setup menu, commodity code maintenance. And you can either enter them in manually or you can import them using a wizard. Once they've been established into the system, you'll be able to attach them to product lines, and you will be able to set them up on a particular item as well as your miscellaneous items. And then when you go to enter them in on a sales order or your sales order invoice, you'll be able to select that commodity code. Also, if you are in sales order or sales order invoice, you do have the ability to set commodity codes up on the fly. With the release of Sage 100 2017, you're going to see many different usability changes, just like we do in every release. So some of those are, one of those changes is the ability to move from month to month in any calendar display window. And you will notice there is a prior and next for calendar window, allowing you to easily navigate to different months in the calendar. We've also added the ability to resize a memo with a pull frame you see in the right-hand corner. And this is for all memos. There is an additional module option setting that has been requested many times to suppress the remove forms message. So if you recall, when printing a form after they have been completed, you get a message to remind you to remove paper after printing. If you no longer want to see this message, you can actually clear the show prompt to remove forms from printer checkbox in the common information section of role maintenance. In looking at reports, when a report is running out, there will now be a cancel button so you can abort the printing of your reports. Another thing highly rated on their list of improvements is improving the readability of reports. So we have done that by changing the previous font size of 6 points to a larger font size. So you will also notice this change in many of the reports in the product. When you access the Help tab, you will notice there has been some significant enhancements. There is now a section on documentation, support, supplies, connecting with Sage, and you still have the About section. Many additional connection points have been included for ease of access, including a brand new live chat where you can contact a support analyst, and that's right here in the middle. Now there has also been some changes in bank reconciliation reports. So much like other reports, there is a keep window open after print and preview. In addition, when exporting the bank reconciliation reports to Excel, the resulting Excel file is going to be easier to view and manipulate, and the minimum font size is 8 points. And the empty columns and rows are minimized, so that's going to be really useful. Similarly to the bank reconciliation report, there's been a change to improve the export to Excel for financial reports, and this will result in the report being easier to view and manipulate. The minimum font 8 points and empty rows and columns are going to be minimized as well. So now we're going to look at the new search features. So configuring security can be a pretty complex task. Finding a specific setting can be a challenge. So you can actually now use the search button in role maintenance to help you with configuring your security roles. So sometimes the tasks and settings can be in a different module than you think, or in a different tab. So if I'm looking for something, I can go into the search and type a word, and this is going to look at the tasks tab, the security events tab, and the module options tab. So this is displayed only for Sage 100C users. So the search button will help you fine-tuning your security setup and allow you to find settings much more easily. And that's for 100C users. So if you're a Sage 100C customer, you'll have a few additional options when using your lookup engine. I'm going to illustrate this by looking up the item code and item code maintenance. Where is my Sage? There it is. And I'm using 100C right now, so it looks a little bit different, and I'll go through the different changes and stuff. So under the search, you will find the ability to do a full text search. So right here, you can scroll down and you have the ability to do a full text search, and you can type whatever you're looking for. So this is looking at the field that you have in your item codes list. If you wanted to find like all my items that have a primary vendor of 01 cont, there you go. You can search for the full text, and this is going to only show items that have that vendor in the number field. Another functionality you have is looking at records that are missing a value. So let's say you want to find all the items that are missing, let's say the color field. You can go to now, instead of begins with, you can choose is empty. And this is going to give you a list of all of the items that have a color that's blank. So here's all those. So you have the ability to go in and add those in. Let's go back to the So when using the autocomplete feature, only the first word within a string of text is looked at. However, you can enhance this by using the enhanced autocomplete feature. So first, to set up, you will need to verify the autocomplete is enabled for the site, then enable autocomplete for the user, and then you will need to build the search index. So periodically, you want to rebuild the search index as new records are being added. You can also use special characters. So you can use an asterisk in the middle, use this in the middle of a word or end of a word, except for last word or to replace one or more characters. So you can, so for example, D*S shows records where the first word starts with the letter D and second word starts with the letter S. You can use the question mark, so use this to replace one character in the middle of a word, and you can use more than one question mark. So for example, ARS-*01 is going to show you records with the item numbers ARS-9101, ARS-9201, and ARS-9301. You can also use a dash. So use this to exclude matching characters. So draw -S excludes all records containing the word drawer followed by a word that begins with the letter S. Now, where do you use this? So it's used in customer records, vendor records, and item records. And it looks at all of these various fields that you see here. So first, we want to make sure it is set up under system configuration. Then we will look at user maintenance. At this point, we can do an autocomplete. For example, if I go to accounts payable or accounts receivable in customer maintenance, let's close out of this. and start typing, I see a list of records. Now, if I don't do anything, I will only be able to evaluate the first word in this field. And I already set up the index, so I can't show you that as an example, but it does show just the first letters of the customer that you're looking up. So I do have the ability to build an index. And going back to Library Master and Utilities, we're going to find a task called Build Search Index, and this is what activates our Autocomplete feature. So I'm going to build my, let's go in and build Search Index, and this is under Library Master. And what it did is it shows you the customer's index, the vendor's index, and the item's index. So I now have invoked the ability to use the enhanced autocomplete feature. So now periodically, you may want to build your search index. Now we saw a fixed number of customers, vendors, and items, and as we add records to the database, we would need to rebuild our search index. So you can actually set this up as a task scheduler, but now let's go into customer maintenance and look at the enhanced autocomplete feature. Now accounts receivable. So I can go ahead and type, oops, no, we don't need to go into that yet. Okay, I can go ahead and type 01, and this will show me all the customer records that is in Division 1. So it gives me more flexibility in choosing the appropriate item that I want. And it's looking at multiple fields, not just the first word of the customer. So that's a pretty nice feature. So there's also ACH Processing. So the Automated Clearinghouse, or ACH, is a secure electronic funds transfer system that operates in the U.S. and provides for the exchange of information and funds among participating financial institutions. So funds are electronically transferred from one bank account to another in the form of a debit or credit transaction. So debit transactions move money out of the customer's account, and credit transactions move money into the customer's account. ACH Processing gives you the ability to receive and process ACH payments from your customers through an integration with Sage Payment Center. So in order to use the ACH Processing, initially you need to contact Sage Payment Solutions to obtain a merchant account to process customer ACH payments. Your customer will authorize you to initiate ACH payments, and they will provide you the bank account and information and instructions to collect the funds. You will then go ahead and process the payment information and submit it to Sage Exchange. Sage Exchange will process the ACH payment, adding it to the current batch, and then Sage Exchange sends back the response to Sage 100 with a unique reference number that identifies the payment. So the batch will need to be settled, and the batch cannot be settled in Sage Payment Solutions until the general ledger transactions have been approved and updated. Then the ACH transaction will be transmitted and submitted through the ACH network, and then funds will be distributed to your account, and either they will be accepted or rejected. So let us know if you want to set this up. There is a little bit of initial setup involved here. So those are for the new features with Sage 100 2017. Now let's go jump back into here and look at 100C. So now we're going to discuss 100C. So there's a couple things I wanted to tell you about 100C before we got started looking at the product. One of the questions we frequently get asked is, what is Sage 100C and how is it different than the Sage 100 or the Mass 90 200 that I'm currently have? So the difference is, well, there really is no difference other than how it's paid for. So for example, it is just another version 2016. So it's similar to if you had 4.5 and you went to 5.0 and then to 2015, it's just another version. So it's installed the same way, it's upgraded in the same way, everything is the same except some of the things I'm going to show you that are different today. The other piece of that is Sage is moving to a subscription model. So like Sherry said, everyone right now pays yearly maintenance to get the new features, and that's usually paid to Sage or through ISM. So Sage is starting to go in a different direction and do a subscription base. So your price will not change at this point. It is the same. It's the same thing. It's just paid in a different way. So you would actually pay that straight to Sage, and it's renewed every year automatically. If you have questions about that, let us know, because it is different structure, and you are not at all forced to do that. It's just it is your choice. So let us know if you have questions about that, and we can guide you through that. So what Sage has done with this version is they have made a more modern looking and also added some features. The biggest piece of this is the user interface that you're going to see that you guys see right now, and also the back-end applications. The back-end was restructured so it's easier to connect with different products. So there are a bunch of different applications out there that you can connect with this version easier. So this is the new interface. This is what it looks like. I really like it. I think it's very clean looking. It's very modern, and it has a much better look and feel, I think, than the other interface. So you're going to notice on the right-hand side of my is my Business Insights dashboard. So hopefully you're using this dashboard. It's a really nice feature. Everyone does have on this call has the dashboard already. So whether you've set it up or not, we can help you with that. It's very easy. It is wizard driven, but it is more up to date and modern looking than the past dashboard. The other thing on this screen you will notice is I have tabs up here, just like any other website would have. So I can go to ISM's website. So you can access that from within your Sage, and you can look at what's new, and I can go to the Information Center. So they're doing a lot of ease of user interface with this version. So then if I look here over on the left-hand side at the bottom, I have web content, modules, and favorites. I'm going to start the bottom and work my way up. So if you click on favorites here, this is where I can drag and drop things within the software that I do normally. So I can drag over invoice data entry, and it shows up here on the left-hand side. So again, that's by user, so everybody has their own favorites. I like it because it's right there on the front screen, so it's similar to the My Task menus that we have now, but it's just easier to see. So going up from there, there's the modules. So I have my modules list here, and just like we have before, I can access it from here or from up here at the top. So I can also go to here from the modules and change it. And then also there's the web content. You can add any kind of websites right here that you want to see. So I can just do a right click here and edit web content, and I can add a new website. New, let's say, IRS. And it's going to show up here on the left-hand side. There we go. So I've already added Go ISM website here, so you can log in and get our support page easier from right inside Sage. So again, very easy to use, very nice interface. Also under the web content, I have the Information Center, which opens it up over here. Also, I have resources and feature tours. So these things you already have, but just presented in a different way, a lot easier to look at these features in this version. Also, there's some other things up here on the top. I can go to view, and here is one of the things I really like because over the years I've always thought, why are the modules not in alphabetical order? Well, they're just kind of in random order in this list here. So what they have done is they've set up a sort module list. So now when I go back to my modules, they're in alphabetical order. They actually, so this makes sense to me. I'm still kind of getting used to it because it's kind of weird seeing them in alphabetical order. The other thing about this list is I can use my roller key on my mouse and be able to scroll up and down this list. And then also I can resort my module menus and sort module menu tasks. So that's here. These are resorted. And I'm going to unsort all those. So also under this view, people over the years have said that the font is too small on their screen. So they have added some new scaling here. So see, my font will change to medium or to large when I click on this. And again, that's by user, so that's a nice feature as well, so it makes it easier to see the font. Another thing they have done to improve the user interface is over here on the left, I can choose different types of what I want the screen layout to look like, so I can make changes to the way my interface looks. So I can click on this one, and it's all dark, it's gray. I can change it to green. I can change it to blue. There's a bunch of different options here of the way you want it to look. Then across the top, I have the favorites again. And these are the same favorites that we saw over here when we dragged and dropped them across. We have the modules list again, so I can access my modules from here as well, and I can go back home. So one of the features also, we had somebody recently that said some of their staff was not that good with change and they weren't sure about this new interface. And they said, can we have it look like the old interface? So what Sage did for that is under Change User Settings, I can change this down here. Whoops, where did it go? Something's thinking. I should be able to go into Change User Settings. I'm going to close this down real quick and see if we can reopen. Well, there's a pop-up here where you can change it to standard view is what this view looks like, or you can change it to classic view. So if you want it to look like the old version of the tree, that's called the classic view now. So you can always change that by going to Change User Settings. So they also added some themes in there. You have the ability to create your own theme, and it's wizard driven. And then let's go into sales order. So I'm going to go to accounts receivable, customer maintenance actually, and show you guys some of the screens that have changed. And I'm going to have to close this down. This isn't working right now. So bear with me, give me a second here. Okay, let's reopen Sage. Let's see, it says that it's still open. Sorry, guys. I always have some issue when I'm doing these lunch hours. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so let's see if we can go into accounts receivable, customer maintenance screen. There we go. Let's look at the first customer. So you're going to notice that it looks a lot cleaner. To me, it looks brighter. So you still have the tabs across the top up here, but the interface looks a little different. The other thing I like is anywhere that there is a grid, like on the Invoices tab, it now has contrast between the lines. So anything that has a grid will have the contrasting lines to it. So they're also in history. So that's just a quick look at the screens and how the user interface has changed. Now I'm going to turn it over to you guys if anyone has any questions.
Okay, let me open up the phone lines. I don't see anything in the chat. Okay, all lines are now open. If anyone has a question. No questions? One thing to state about the Sage 100C, it can be paid for on an annual basis, a monthly subscription basis, or you can also get quotes for a 3-year payment plan as well. So you don't have that large maintenance renewal at the beginning of your renewal period every year. So it can be put out into monthly payments. Okay, well, with no questions, I'm going to close it out. If something does come up, or if you think of something, or you'd like to get pricing, you can reach out to us here at AM for Account Manager, am@goism.com. We'll be glad to answer any of your questions, get you pricing, or let you know anything that you might need. Erin, I want to thank you for your time today. That was a great presentation. We will be doing the Sage 100 2017 version every couple months because people will be upgrading to it in this coming year. Remember, if you are on Sage version 2014 or lower, you are no longer supported. Sage 100 2014, they are no longer putting out any updates for. The only supported versions from Sage software at this point in time are 2017, 2016, and 2015. So keep that in mind if you run payroll or AP 1099 for year-end processing. You will want to upgrade prior to that time by the end of this year. So we still have a lot of time. Our March Lunch and Learns will be going out at the end of February. Keep an eye out for the newsletter. We've got a lot of exciting new classes this year, and we thank you for attending. There will be a survey attached to your follow-up email you'll receive tomorrow. Please take a few minutes and answer that for us. Thank you, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day, and have a great evening.